Singing has always been important to me, but I never thought, oh, I'll end up singing, I'll be a singer. I just thought I'm lucky that it's something I can always do if I want to. I'm so lucky like that. I felt like I had nothing new that was coming out at the time that really represented me or the way I felt. So I just started writing. I wouldn't write anything unless it was directly personal to me, just because I wouldn't be able to tell the story right. I'm not a girl trying to be a star or trying to be anything other than a musician.
How big do you think you're going to be?
I don't think I'm going to be at all famous. I don't think I could handle it. I would probably go mad, you know what I mean? I would go mad.
One observation that I got was when Amy said, "Am I just worth for the music?"
She was just a humble girl from North London that had an amazing voice and wanted to sing, but all that other stuff was just too much.
I don't think the media industry can take a lot of blame for what happened. There's a lot of people more directly involved than the media were.
I actually think that the record companies and the people that control people like Amy, are in it to sort of, do what they can money-wise. I think that they come across even worse than anybody else in the film. Even Blake, that gave her first hit of heroin.
Looking at it from the Mitch point of view, I think, the moment when your sympathies really shifted when he does bring that camera crew. Because before that I thought, they're giving him a bit of a hard time because they haven't really let him have any comeback. Like they just go, oh, he had an affair and that really fucked her up for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
But they didn't kind of let him speak. And you saw he was always there for her, wasn't he? He was there, alongside, but there was no sort of talking about.
I think that he was maybe a dad struggling to bring up a teenage girl, and actually she was this sort of quite unique teenage girl in this mad bubble. And I think that's what you saw, is that maybe he wasn't there for her when she was younger, and then in her later life he tried, but actually he got it really wrong.
The head of Universal Music saw Senna, the documentary that was made by Asa Kapadia, the director, previously, and said, I want to do a similar one for Amy. It's a very interesting device, the way that he's chosen to shoot the film. You never see any direct talking heads. It's all done through this archive footage.
I think you've got a very good insight into Amy through her friends. People always point their finger at paparazzi and the tabloid press and say, oh, you're too intrusive into people's lives. But actually, the fact that there was such a wealth of footage is because of modern media, and because people were taking selfies, or there was paparazzi everywhere, or her own friends were taking films of her. So I actually think that was sort of quite ironic that there could be people, that people do say, or that poor Amy, that she was just hounded by the press and by the public. But actually, the reason that we've got such quite a full and rich film is because of that very reason.
I didn't realise there was so much footage of Amy that was around, and I guess that's part of the culture and the time that she lived in, where everything was captured on film and camera.
I really felt that Amy's humility came across, even when she became really, really famous. She just was almost like this awkward girl just sort of caught in the headlights, wasn't she? And I just found that really touching.
I was just a bit sort of like, oh, maybe, are we seeing all sides of her personality? Maybe she just was this lovely girl the whole time.
Her friends did say at one point, I can't remember which friend it was, that when she spoke to her, she said, I don't want to be around you when you're like this. I think we got a hint of that.
There's pros and cons to pampering someone and then leaving someone to kind of develop themselves.
I did wonder how much they were not showing. Maybe she was always wonderful, but I just think lots of people, especially addicts, can be a real nightmare and very difficult to handle. And, like with her father saying she didn't want to go into rehab. I mean, I think, he's got a very strong narrative in that film, which is like she just wanted a strong dad, didn't she, in her life, to tell her what to do.
And a strong guy.
Yeah, she just wanted a strong person, whether it's her mum, her dad, somebody to make all the decisions for her.
She was very young when she became famous, and I think she was in this bubble, and maybe Mitch, as the dad, thought, well, they know best for her, they know best for her career. When you're in this bubble, you must feel like sometimes you just don't want to be there, you don't want to be seen, and that's obviously what she was striving for.
Already they're talking about BAFTAs and Oscars for this film. I mean, obviously Asif's got previous with winning things like that. What do you think?
I can see it doing very well in America as well, because you just saw the influence of her from some of the artists that she worked with, the Grammys that she won, these big awards, and she is still, I think her influence lives on.
He made the right decision in that he just kept it on her face the whole time, and it just made you you just wanted to watch her. I mean, I didn't get bored of watching her.
I was drawn in completely, and I think because there was such a good use of different media, you know, of archive footage and then selfies, and then I quite like the voiceover stuff. But you're right, in a way that was a little bit like, let's not get them sitting being talking heads. But I think I quite like that device.
Beforehand, I've heard a lot of positive reaction to this film. It's going to do really well, I think.
I think that it does deserve any awards that it gets, because I think it's a very well-made documentary.
This is probably the best thing I've seen him do.
It was fantastic.
Bittersweet.
Really, really powerful.
Overly emotional.
I thought it was amazing.
Brilliant film. One of the top 5 documentaries I've seen in my life.
It was heartbreaking, but it was very powerful.
Thought-provoking, touching.
We were able to see like the explanations behind all of her tracks and really encapsulated her whole journey, really.
You see a lot of stories that are that kind of real cliche rock and roll story of like the rise to fame and then the fall to drugs, but it's managed to tell it again in a really fresh way.
Overall, great production. It was edited perfectly.
I like the way it was shot as well. It's kind of really intimate.
The director is one of the best British film directors in the world right now.
It gave me a lot of insight into what her actual situation was like and who she was as a person.
It was poignant. Yeah, I loved it.
A kind of testament to brilliance being squashed way too early.
It was also like an anti-showbiz message.